Welcome back, everybody. First of all, thank you very much about all the love that you gave that Bayern versus Celtic video last week. Over 3,000 views, 3,500 views even in a week, which is nuts for me with 725 subscribers. It's nuts. Thank you very much. Of course, Bayern versus Bayer Leverkusen is happening next week, and I'm gonna be there as well. So stay tuned to the channel to get notified when that video comes up on Thursday morning probably. But today we're here to talk about stadiums, more specifically stadium tours, because I love stadiums and I work in stadium tours, so I'm really passionate about that. And I've taken a few stadium tours in my life, 10 I actually came up to, so I put them in the top 10. But first, what is your favorite stadium tour that you have taken part of? Let me know in the comment section below, and let me know if it is on your top 10 or if you find it in my top 10. Before we begin, I really want to be a little transparent on how I rank these stadiums. I had a look at the stadium, at the general impression of the stadium, then at the guide, how good he was, what impression he left me, or they left me, the fun I had on the tours, if it was informative, and also the price value balance, basically, right? I'm gonna go through all these points to every single stadium, and I ranked all of these out of 10, and then I came to a total. And also do know that most of the stadiums that I'm gonna talk about today, I have done a special video for. When I took the stadium tour, I also did a YouTube video, and I uploaded it to the channel. I'm gonna leave the playlists down in the description below, or if you click right over there. But yeah, let's kick it off right off the bat. Not with number 10 actually, but with an honorable mention. I know I said there are 10 stadiums in this list, and there are, but I really cannot give the Allianz Arena any specific spot on this list, because I would just be too biased. Because now I really contribute, to the quality to those tours that we do, and it would just seem unfair, So that's why I put in the honorable mention. But I really have to tell you, it was excellent. Obviously, it was 10 years ago. 10 years ago, I never even thought about going to more stadium tours, or let alone working for that. So yeah. It was 10 years ago. The stadium looked a lot different than it does today. It was all gray, right? Because it was all split by Bayern in 1860 Munich. But I loved it. Even I think it was like 2010 when I first heard about the Allianz Arena. 2009. When they played in the Champions League against Steaua Bucharest back then. And I saw their stadium, Bayern Munich stadium. I thought, whoa, you can change those colors. It's phenomenal. And then the first day that I lived in Munich, I went straight to the Allianz Arena and I wanted to see it, And then I saw, hey, they have stadium tours. Okay, let's check it out. I was really impressed by the stadium itself. The guide was really cool too, and then basically became my colleague like 4 years later, which is kind of cool. I really had a lot of fun. Obviously, like I say, it was my first day in Munich, and I idolized this stadium for a lot of time, and it was very informative. And you also have to actually buy a museum, right? So you just don't get the tour, you have the museum as well. Yeah, so you could learn extra stuff in there as well, which I did. So it was really fun. I think if I find my ticket somewhere, I think it cost about 20 euros for the museum and the tour. Yeah, the tour took an hour, and then you could spend as much time as you wanted in the museum. Nowadays, tickets at the Allianz Arena cost 25 euros for the tour and the museum, but that is because we added some stuff to the tour. If you want to know what it is, you have to come by. Now, let's really kick off the top 10 or the top 9 now. Really unfortunate, I did not expect this to be number 9 when I went up to the stadium tour in the first place, but at number 9, it is the San Siro in Milan, obviously home of both Inter and AC Milan. It was a little disappointing. It wasn't guided, you just went there by yourself. It wasn't good. It really wasn't good. Of course, the stadium gets a 10. I mean, it's the San Siro, look, it's legendary. This is the same kind of similar thing that I found out about Bayern, the Allianz Arena. When I first saw the San Siro, it was exceptional. I fell in love with it, so I knew I had to visit it someday. And I took this tour in 2018, and it was not guided. I think it is guided nowadays in 2025. The stadium absolutely gets a 10. Of course, many people say that's very old, and it is, but still, it's has such a character, you cannot not fall in love with it. The guide, there was none, so we have a 0. I had some fun. I was looking through my nerd glasses, so I really had fun. Although we didn't learn much, or we didn't interact much with anyone. There was one guide next to the changing room of both Inter and AC Milan, who told us a little bit about it, how they are a little different in shape and stuff. But that's it. That's the only information we got. Actually, nobody told us how many people fit in there, what the colors in the stands represent, which I then found out a few years later to a YouTube video. Yeah, there was nothing. Yeah, so I cannot really rate that. But I had some fun because I loved being there. You had the museum, that is true. Back then we started in the museum. You had to look a little bit through there. You saw a lot of old jerseys, some models of the stadium, and that was about it. So yeah, the price value balance is not really good because the ticket, I think, cost about 18 euros back then in 2018. I'm really not entirely sure, but I googled it today and tickets cost 35 euros and 70 cents. And of course, if they put some guides there who do their job well, it should be worth it. But I haven't been there since 2018, and I cannot tell you otherwise. So yeah, it's a number 9 for me. Coming in at number 8 is the other big stadium in Italy, the Stadio Olimpico in Rome. We actually visited in 2023, in which I visited 3 Olympic stadiums, but we'll get to that. Yeah, the stadium itself, it's okay. The Stadio Olimpico, right? It's legendary. Why not? 1990 World Cup final, Germany versus Brazil. Germany versus Argentina, I'm sorry. 2009 Champions League final, of course, between Barcelona and Man United. So many derbies between Roma and Lazio. Long-time home of legend Fernando Totti. Francesco Totti, of course. Many legendary matches in there. So it had the character, but I didn't love it that much. I did the San Siro. So I got an 8. Guide was quite uninterested herself, so I couldn't give her many points for that. So yeah, that's just the vibe that she gave us, Fun was had, not too much though, because again, she did not interact with us that much. She had us took some photos where the players arrived in the mixed zone area, then of course in locker rooms, 3 of them for Lazio, for Roma, and for the opponents. Then at the pitch, right, the pitch side, both dugouts. What was fun though, there was a little camera next to the Lazio side, to the Roma side, and the camera actually broadcasts your image to the big screens in the stadium, which I think was pretty cool. So yeah, we took a photo of that. That was interesting, and it cost a whopping 17 euros and 60 cents, but that was because it was reduced because we had the Roma pass, which I really recommend. So it was 20 euros. It would have been 20 euros, and it didn't even take 1 hour. I think it was supposed to take 1 hour, but it took about 50 minutes. That's why it's only number 8. Playing in at number 7, we have the biggest stadium in France. Yes, we have Stade de France, venue of the 1998 World Cup final, in the 2006 Champions League final, if I remember correctly. Of course, a lot of French Cup finals. Similar vibe to the Stadio Olimpico. The guide was not that much into it, in my opinion. He did have his information by hand, of course, but I don't think he was that passionate about football. Yeah, the stadium itself got an 8 from me. It looked kind of boring a little bit because, of course, the neutral stadium was all white, which is a little confusing since it's the national stadium. Maybe if they had painted the seat, or put in colored seats like blue, white, and red, just like the national flag, maybe it would have been a little nicer. And yeah, the guide was, like I said, not very interested. The fun was had as well, but we had some dull moment because the tour took 90 minutes. We spent about half an hour into a warm-up area where we kicked the ball around a little bit. So for us, it would maybe like 5 or 10 minutes because they had a little goal there. So each of us could try to score as many goals as we can and then continue on with the tour. But then he started doing some kick-ups, showing off his skills a little bit. and he invited a little kid to join him, a little kid from the group, and they did kick-ups together. Then maybe a few others joined, but I think it was long. We did have the museum beforehand. The museum was pretty interesting. It did have some interesting stuff in there. Yeah, and the price was about 16 euros for 90 minutes, which is a really good price actually, but that doesn't rank up that high for me in my list, just a 7. Right, the number 6 is the newest stadium of the bunch and one of the most modern stadiums in Europe today. It's the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, of course, in London. Stadium itself, of course, gets a 10. It's really modern, it's amazing. Then the guide gets a 5 because there was none. There was no guide. You have an audio guide. The audio guide was good, was really good, was fun. It had some jokes implemented into it, and throughout the way there were several guys who you could ask questions, about the NFL locker rooms, for example, which I think I think it was pretty good, because those people, the guides that were actually there, they were really, you could feel that they were Tottenham fans and they were really passionate about the club, and they really could tell you very nice stories about that. So that was good. That's why it's evening out, between a 0 and a 5. It gets between a 0 and a 10, it gets a 5. It was fun, to be fair. It was a little long, because it's a self-guided tour. You could just hang around, listen to the audio guides. Listening to the whole audio guide, it takes about 90 minutes. But, if you go a little slower to have a look around and stuff, because you have time, it could take up to 2 hours easily. Which, for some people, might be good, but I didn't really like that, personally. And it was very informative, of course. It was the audio guide. We had all these information. It was basically a smartphone, and you got some headphones. So you had pretty much all the information you need. And it cost £33 for a self-guided tour, which I think was too much. Of course, if you divide that by the time that you spend there, it's good, but I think it was too much, because you didn't have that personal experience that a guide would provide you. For number 5, we come a little closer to home. We come to the Munich Olympic Stadium, a tour I did with my buddy Sam from Footy Adventures. Yeah, only comes at number 5. The stadium, I loved it. I love the stadium in general. I love it every day. Also, on my first day in Munich, I discovered that the Olympics took place here as well in 1972. So after I took a tour at the Allianz Arena, I went to the Olympic Park to see what that's about. And I saw the stadium, and it was gorgeous. It really was gorgeous. I loved it. And that was in 2015, and only in 2023 I came to the idea to take a stadium tour there as well. So yeah, we did that. So the stadium got a 10. The guide himself was a cool guy. He was slightly uninformed though, because I think, was it me or was it Sam? I think it was Sam. Yeah, Sam asked him about the football played at the 1972 Olympics, and the guide said that they didn't play football at those Olympics, which is just wrong. And I know that just a few minutes before that, Sam and I talked about how Poland won the Olympic tournament, because right outside the stadium, on the way to the entrance, there was a wall of fame with all disciplines that were held there and all the winners, and it clearly stated for football it was Poland. So yeah, I wasn't very impressed by that. Fun, we did have fun, partly because Sam was there as well. So we talked about football in general. He taught me that England beat Germany there 5-1 back in the day with the Michael Owen hat-trick, I think it was. Yeah, but all the European Cup finals that took place there, and the World Cup in 1974 and the Euros in 1988. So we did have fun. Slightly disappointment throughout the tour was somewhere in the middle, we had to watch a video about the whole history of the stadium, which the video itself was informative, but it was a little weird for it to be in the middle. A very good part though, it only cost 10 euros for 1 hour. In at number 4 is a little funny situation, because number 4 and number 3 are tied on points, but and at number 4 should go to Soldier Field in Chicago, home of the Chicago Bears and Chicago Fire of the MLS. Stadium itself was nice. It got an 8 from me, which is the lowest grade I've given any stadiums on this list. The guide was amazing. Really, sir, I really can't remember his name, unfortunately. He was a really nice guy. I think he was a police officer, right? That was doing this guide job part-time. Was a really, really nice guy. Of course, very informed, very passionate about the Chicago Bears. Unfortunately, did not say anything about Chicago Fire, but it's okay. Football, our football is not that big in the US, so should be fine. Although, since they really are a tenant of the stadium, maybe he could have mentioned them a little more. It was fun, although most of the time I did not know what was going on with the American football, though. I had informed myself a little bit about American football, but it was pretty fun. You got a 7 on that. And it was informative. It really was informative. The guy really knew what he was talking about. And it cost me $23.88 after tax. And it took about 1 hour and 15 minutes. There also we watched a little video, but it's the start of the tour, which was a little better, just a little introduction into the Soldier Field. And I put it into 4th rather than 3rd because we did not see the home changing room of the Chicago Bears, which the guys told us that was their decision, by the franchise. Chicago Bears did not want to show their home changing room, so we only saw the away one, which is understandable. I just thought it was a shame. The away changing room really did not have anything to do, it was a bland changing room. They did put some jerseys from other teams in there and some memorabilia from football, soccer matches that happened there as well. But yeah, that was the only negative point that kept me from putting it into 3rd. In 3rd comes the home of football, Wembley Stadium. Yeah, enjoyed it. Stadium itself gets a 9 from me. Of course, it's an iconic stadium, but it doesn't have that something, to give it a 10. I love Old Trafford, for example, in England, right? I would get a 10 because it has much more character, man. The guide was okay. It was pretty good. He too didn't seem that much interested talking about Wembley Stadium. At the time, or still at the time of recording, it is the largest stadium in Europe. You have to think about that until the Camp Nou is completed. It is the largest stadium in Europe. Yeah, and you have the honor basically to work there. But he didn't really show that. We did have some fun. To be fair, not too much. He got a 7 on the fun scale for me. I wrote down it did not have any museum, but it kind of did. There was a little cafe bar thing, right? That was kind of like a museum. You could take a picture with the FA Cup, which I did in the Oxford United jersey because they got promoted to the championship last year. Total price was £25 for 1.5 hours in total, which I think was a decent price. So yeah, I put it in 3rd place ahead of Soldier Field because we could see the NFL changing rooms that they have there, and also the England changing room, which really looked very nice. And then the same case with spots 1 and 2. There's a draw between them. They both have a perfect 10, differentiate them in one aspect, the one being cheaper than the other one. And number 2, we have the London Stadium, home of West Ham United, or of the 2012 Olympics. Perfect 10 everywhere. I just loved the stadium when I saw it first at the Olympics. The guide was really fun. The guide was really good. The tour itself was very fun, and it was very informative as well. So at the end, very well invested, £22 for 1 hour. And up in number 1, only because it was about 6 or 7 euros cheaper, it is the Olympic Stadium in Berlin. Look at this beauty. It too has a lot of character, in my opinion. I fell in love with it many years ago when I was a kid and I was playing FIFA 10. Do you remember that, guys? FIFA 10. I was messing around in training, actually not even playing a real match, and I discovered the Olympic Stadium. I saw that the blue running track, actually, which I thought was really cool. So I just fell in love with it. Perfect 10 in every aspect. Stadium itself, the guide was very good. Yeah, it was very fun because in 2019 I started at the Allianz Arena and I was trained as a guide by my mentor, basically. And then a few years later, she moved to Berlin and started working at the Olympic Stadium as a guide as well. And then she was mentored by my guide, basically, that we had at the Olympic Stadium, which was really cool. So yeah, she was obviously very well informed. She had some really fun stories, and also gets bonus basically because the day before the tour we actually saw a match there, which was amazing as well, with over 60,000 people. It was Hertha against St. Pauli in the second division, and they created a hell of an atmosphere. It was really good, a really good match as well. Yeah, and it really has that character that I talk about a lot, you know. Mostly a little bit of a negative character because of 2006 World Cup final with Zidane and stuff, you know. A lot of people idolized Zidane back then, me included. Yeah, you kind of feel it, you know, and you also feel the main purpose that the stadium was built for when it was built in 1936, you know. But still, I love it. I enjoyed it. Yeah, and it only costs 17 euros for 1 hour. And that gets it the edge to be number 1 and not number 2. Yeah, that's about it. I think I'm really proud with my top 10 or top 9 if you want. If you disagree with that, let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed it, slap a like on it and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Make sure you follow me on Instagram as well. I have some pretty nice photos from these stadium tours over there as well, because I really enjoy them, like I said. So yeah, I'll see you then. I'll see you then on Wednesday evening, probably, Bayern versus Bayer Leverkusen in the Champions League, or you know, on Thursday when the video actually comes out. But yeah, have a good time until then. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.